I just really want to ask a question. I just want to pose a question. I don't really ask because it's not like it's not like someone's going to answer it. But I want to pose a question, and I want to just give my take on it. But I'll ask the question first. And you might say, "Will you just ask the damn question and stop procrastinating?" And I'll say, "Well, maybe, sort of, kind of. All right, let me stop being a smartass." So the question that I guess I want to pose is slavery, Jim Crow, segregation the sole responsibility of why it's so hard for blacks to unite, to form an actual community, to not accept handouts from people who they themselves claim to be their oppressors? And I just asked this question because I went on my what I do is I'm the type of person that I like to hear both sides of the story. So I'll listen. I got Doctor. Let me see if I can find it on my YouTube page here real quick because Doctor. What's her face? Joy DeGroy Leary. Some of you might have heard it or heard of her rather. She's a very intelligent woman. I wish more black women were like her, but she's very intelligent. And she makes the case. She makes a very strong case, actually, of the linkage or the lineage between slavery and the treatment of black women and black men. And I actually enjoyed listening to her talk, but it made me think a question that um, in modern time, when black folks can come together and storm the I don't know what you would call it, but basically like the headquarters for welfare, because this happened a couple years ago, I believe down in Georgia somewhere, that they didn't get their food stamps or they didn't get their Medicaid or they didn't get something, and black folks, black women, because it wasn't black men, because black men rarely get any benefits from the government, but mainly black women went down there were you ready to tear down and burn down the building because they didn't get their benefits, and they had kids to feed that the government didn't make, but they expected the government to take care of them. Um, and then you think about the long lines that you've seen for people waiting to get Air Jordans. The violence that comes about when uh, people try to buy weave or steal weave or whatever the case may be, or people getting shot because they sell weave and people don't want to pay for it, so they shoot them and steal it. Um, why is it that black folks can only come together when it's to do stupid shit, but when it comes to having creating our own schools so that we don't have to have vaccination, so that we don't have to have special ed, which disproportionately affects black children? Um, why is it that we can't come together to build schools for our own community, where we teach our own culture and we teach our own or true or real history, and not, as some people say, his story, right? So I guess I just don't understand why it's so easy to come together, for black women to come together to twerk and to do weave dancing, and to have brawls on the side of highways, brawls in McDonald's, brawls at Walmart's, brawls in schools. Black dudes coming together to form destructive Voltron and kill each other, and wait in line and camp out for sneakers, and um, you know why is it so easy to do that, but not easy when it comes to let's form a community? Sort of like what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when blacks came together because they were not accepted in dominant society, so they came together and they said, let's start our own communities, let's have our own buses, our own airports, our own economy, that was surviving, even though the Great Depression pretty much destroyed the American economy. Um, I guess I'm just a little confused, to say the least. Why it's so easy for us to come together when it's to be destructive or be non-productive, but when it comes to being productive, we can't come together. Good case of point. Um, you know, I remember being in some rap groups, or trying to, and not being able to get people to come show up. We all show up. We have one good session, and now everybody feels like they Nas and Biggie and they done made it, and so we ain't even got a record deal, we ain't even got no recognition, but the song is hot. The songs we made are hot, so now we can't even come together on a scheduled date when we schedule it to get something always comes up. So when it's to be productive, we can't come together. But when it's to be destructive, oh, we form Voltron in a heartbeat. We don't even, at least in the cartoon, it used to be like the lions would fight independently, and then they were like, "Oh, this enemy is too strong. We gotta form Voltron." Like they just show up at Voltron. They don't even wait for nothing to happen. Like they don't even individually get in trouble and say, "Oh, we gotta form up." They just come formed up. It's like I don't get it. I don't understand it. Is slavery really responsible for that? Because you would think the people that came out and established the communities in North Carolina and in Oklahoma, although those black communities that had their own economies built, they were closer to slavery than we are. So why were they? And it's not like the government's aim changed. They still don't like us. They still would like to destroy us. It's just that, now that we live in this global society, it's easier to just assassinate a person's character than just assassinate the person. Because then it might cause someone else to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. But if you can make people look stupid, look like they're violent animals, it makes the world feel like, oh, if they die, they die. So why is it that we can come together to perpetuate a stereotype, but we can't come together to extinguish it? Black women don't like when black men start talking about weave, but yet at the same time, every time you see some show on TV or you just go to Walmart, you see some dark skinned woman, black woman, with ridiculous looking colored hair that clearly does not grow out their own head, and they rock it like it's nothing, like it's just natural, like it's normal. And then if you say later, this is stupid, this doesn't look right, all of a sudden now the black man has the issue. The black man has the problem because he's like saying, look, you look stupid that way. Why don't you just wear your normal, natural, kinky, nappy hair? But the black man has the problem. The black man has the issue, the self-hatred. If you speak out about this, even though the black man is doing nothing to himself when speaking about weave, because weave typically goes on a woman or transsexual, trans whatever, who's trying to be a woman. It's the only way a man would probably ever wear a weave or a wig. But we could come together for all this stupid crap, but we can't come together for the important things. And that's sad. I find that extremely sad because we don't we it's like if you speak out against any of this stuff, then you're the person because you brought the problem up, you are bigger than the actual problem. And that's the sad shit. But I don't think slavery has a damn thing to do with the condition that we're in today. Does it have a play a role such as like in the economy? Yes. I do believe slavery is to blame, or at least the blueprint for the way the economy is established now. I think that it's just now it's deeper or bigger than just black folks suffering under it. I just think they've expanded the system of slavery to all people now to enslave the entire world. But the principal concept is still the same. But there's no one going around hanging and whipping niggas. Not at least not on the scale that it was. It might pop up here and there in the news when they decide to report it. But at the end of the day, don't you think if we had a strong economy, a strong unity among each community across the country, do you think they would be able to do something like that? Do you think your local sheriff would be able to come in and just kick a black person's ass and not fear the black community? We're so dismantled and disjointed. They can feel comfortable coming in and doing what they want. Hey, but you bring these things up, black folks get defensive, then they want to attack you, but then when someone non-black attacks them physically, they say hands up, don't shoot. Wow.